Yeah, that's that detail stuff that, even if I had it in front of me, I wouldn't have read it. But anyway, so we are, again, really grateful for all the support we've had as we navigate these really fascinating times. Talking to my colleagues in other centers and talking to other educators from around the country, everybody feels fairly frozen as to what they need to do. And as many of you know, the information continues to change by the hour. I mean, literally by the hour for us. And we, again, thank you all for taking time to shepherd this process along with us, because we couldn't have gotten this far without you all. Our parents have just been phenomenal. The families have been great. I want to acknowledge, you're going to hear from the program team kind of overarching all the pieces that they represent, and where we are and where we think we're going, depending on this hour. But so you will get a chance to meet the leadership team and hear that the fact that everybody's rowing in the same direction. The UCCC program team have been magnificent through this process. We have, I would say, we have a bunch of warriors as educators at UCCC and at Loom Institute. We have a group of people who are willing to fall on the sword for children because they know it's the right thing to do. So I keep telling the teachers, if my grandson lived here, I would love them in their classroom. And that's, to me, the highest testimony to what's going on at University City Children's Center. We want to acknowledge the teachers through all of this. They have been incredibly engaging and active, and we have teachers who are taking risks, doing videos for their children and doing Zooms so they can get a chance to play with the children and the parents. The remarkable thing about what they are really working on doing is helping engage children enough that this two-dimensional look of just the screen really has a three-dimensional opportunity for children when they see the teachers engaging with them and engaging with the parents, and when the parents are engaging back. So we appreciate the reciprocity of that experience. So the program team, our teachers, and of course, the families. We've had so many families supporting us in ways that I absolutely can't believe it. I'm numb, and also proud to say that we have something very special at University City Children's Center. So the overarching view of welcome, and here we are, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Peter. Many of you have not met Peter, and we'd like for you to get to know Peter, because Peter's been an instrumental cog in the leadership team over the past almost 2 years. So Peter, do you want to lead us in to the next section?
Sure. I work with Steve in Loom Institute, mostly focused on business development and fundraising and strategic thinking. And right now we're turning our work to the virtual world, just as many people are, and connecting with Loom clients all around the Midwest through virtual means like this. And then also our most important partner and fellow teammates down at UCCC in supporting Laura, the program team, and the teachers on how to work through this extraordinary time, and also help families and children, as well as then beginning to think through how will we return to normal from extraordinary. And on the fundraising side, as Steve said, the support from families is breathtaking, with the number of families who've said, keep charging me, or charge me this much, and I will contribute to keep the teachers employed. And we've also had some very encouraging and wonderful donations at the time when you might think they would be most difficult to get. The people who have been friends of ours are continuing to give that support, and it's really inspiring to know how much they care about children and about our families and about our teachers. So that's my 2 minutes, and happy to be a part of this work and to be blessed by your trust in UCCC. So I think Laura's going to pick it up from here.
Yes, thanks, Peter. I am also trying to drive all of this at the same time, so my apologies here. So I just wanted to give some information and some updates about what's happening at University City Children's Center while your children aren't there. Most of you know that we have been working with Washington University to be open as a site for first responders, so healthcare workers at WashU, the first responders in the field, they're epidemiologists, they're essential employees who are working on the ground fighting this virus for us. We have some great warriors, as Steve said, some teachers that are going to be on site for a small group of those staff members very soon. So we're working on getting a start date together. One of the important things that we are also working on is what does this look like for the center overall when we reopen? So how do we make sure that we are working with their staff to make sure that the building's back up and running when we can welcome all of our UCCC children back into our arms and actually see them face to face instead of virtually. So we're really excited to be planning already for when that can happen. In the meantime, while we can't see everybody in person, Steve has mentioned that we do have our UCCC YouTube channel, and those teachers have really stepped out of their comfort zone quite a bit to make those videos, to help engage their kids, to make sure that their kids know that they're safe and loved, and that we still wish we could see them all the time. So please subscribe to that channel. There's new videos every single day. There's also some things for parents on there too about how to engage with your kids in different activities and just how to read to your children like a preschool teacher would. So there's some great content there. So please follow us on that. And lastly, we're doing a lot of work with our teachers too. So professional development has not stopped during this time. So we're doing a lot of work on how to engage our teachers virtually, making sure they have access to the materials and the technology that they need in order to continue learning and be better and grow as individuals and as teaching teams during this time. So our teachers are working really hard while they're not with your kids. They're doing a lot of team teachings. They're doing Zooms with each other. They're really thinking about what does this look like when we come back all together. That's another huge transition for kids, and we're already having those conversations with our teachers about how to plan that huge welcome back celebration that's going to be yet another transition for our kids. So we're working pretty hard on all of our professional development for our teachers, and they are constantly engaged with both figuring out how to keep your children engaged and your families engaged, but engaged with each other. So we really are looking out for our physical and mental health and well-being during this time as a staff, and also with you all as families too. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Frank, our lovely CFO, so he can talk more about the tireless work that he's been doing.
I got nothing to say.
Oh, God.
I have, but first of all, actually I do. First of all, I want to say how fabulous the program team is, because to be able to do this by video, not this, but to be able to stay in touch with you all by video is really phenomenal. And I feel it tonight, because as you see me going like this, it's because I'm connecting with one of my buddies over there, and it's just a great thing. It's just great. It makes me feel great. I don't know, maybe he's thinking, what's with that? But I feel great. So thank you, Max. Anyway, thank you for joining us. This is like a stressful time. I get that. 40-something people have joined us. That's really wonderful. And let me first just thank you all for your support over the last 2 weeks. Please keep it up. You know what I'm saying? keep it up. So I thought I would let you know some of the steps that we're taking to ensure some financial stability. Let's put it that way. Okay. So I'll go through a few of those things and may answer some of the questions that I saw in the sheet that Laura sent around. Sorry, but I have to read from the screen on my right, so I'm not ignoring you. Okay. First of all, there is the Small Business Administration. There are two different types of loans available from the Small Business Administration. One of them is called Economic Injury Disaster Loan. We applied for one of those last week. We actually heard back from them, so it makes me feel like, although I made that application into a black hole, somebody actually knows we're alive. I don't know when or if that application will be approved, but I know they have it. The other one, some of you may be familiar with, called a Paycheck Protection Program loan, which is part of the new stimulus package. Those applications won't be available until tomorrow. I'm going to get off this call so I can go to bed, because I'm going to have to get up earlier than I personally like to get up in order to make sure that our application is somewhere near the front of that line. The folks, the bank I'm dealing with says they expect 10,000 applications tomorrow. I would like to be in the first 100, which will put us somewhere in the first million nationwide. Those loans will allow us to continue to make payroll for the next 2 months. So I am obviously very, very, very hopeful that that will come through and that I got all my ducks in a row and all that sort of stuff. But again, we don't really know the timing of when that stuff will be approved, but we are on it. And by on it, those of you who might work for a bank know you can't apply till tomorrow. I'm ready. I got all the documents. I got all the paperwork. I got it all. There are a couple of other grants that may be available also under the new stimulus package. We're working on those as well. Some federal grants to states for the purpose of keeping child care centers open, and we're going to find out how do we get the money. Head Start, Early Head Start, and Missouri Department of Social Services have agreed to pay us based on enrollment rather than on attendance, which means we'll get paid something close to an average amount of money from those folks. So that's very reassuring as well. I know Steve has reached out to our philanthropic community, which has been very, very supportive so far. And I expect they will speed up their support, because there's no time to wait to look and review, and they're going to have to just know people and make their decisions based on the people that they know, and they know Steve. So that should be a huge help. So that's sort of a general idea of what we're trying to do in order to make sure that everybody gets paid and we reopen at the first opportunity that we can.
Let me dovetail in. For your information, we met with all the faculty and staff today. So we had a meeting with them, kind of highlighting all the pieces that you have just heard. And we felt that there was a good receptivity to it. What I think that they appreciate is the level of communication that they've received over these past couple of weeks. And again, that's an acknowledgement of the program team doing such a good job of keeping everybody kind of together. Some of the things that we want to make sure, we're finding feedback from families that it was like the first week and a half, it was like a honeymoon for the children. And now everybody's looking at each other going, wait a minute, I don't know if this stuff is not as fun as I thought. And so we're hearing some more feedback from families where the behaviors are getting a little bit more challenging, or everybody's getting a little bit thin, because I know everybody is working really hard to maintain social distancing practices. So, so over these past couple of weeks, one of the things that we have seen in our community, we have seen the fact that there's a real deep concern for our community at large that our children and families are being fed. And for so many of us, it's really hard for us to believe. But that is such a reality for our St. Louis community, and we have a large population that's integrated in our world where that is and can be a real serious issue. So so we want to acknowledge that that there's a need for physical nutrition, and we are doing whatever we can do. We've given a lot of our food to other schools and that have stayed open, but we still need to be careful and be cautious of how many families are not may not have the same means that some of us have. And what we're seeing right now is our children need to be emotionally nourished, and that's been our framework at University City Children's Center and Loom Institute for decades. How do we support the emotional development of children? How do we hold the souls of children and families? So during this time, we're seeing our the need for food, but we also need to think about how do we emotionally support children and families. And the teachers are doing all that outreach. That is a way that we're helping support the emotional development of children during this time. The other thing where they need to have a serious nutrition plan, that is a serious gap, is social nutrition. We're starting to hear kids go, oh my God, I miss my friends. So there's some longing for their friends. And and families, well, not if we keep the social distancing framework, they're not going to be able to hang with their friends. So what can you do instead? You can do some personal things. Encourage your kids to draw pictures for their friends. We can get you addresses. You can begin teaching your children and letting your children engage socially so they can be nourished. And so they need to feel nourished. And so as we do all of the pieces that we think are right to do, there's still an undercurrent that I think at University City Children's Center that we really want to attend to. And that is to really make sure that we are doing our 100% best to hold the souls of your children and you and actually other children and families in our community. So we're really grateful for the attunement and the sensitivity of our community around these special issues. Every time a parent gives us a strength-based comment, it feeds us to work harder. So we have had a litany of wonderful feedback from families, and it gives us the nutrition, gives us as administrators the nutrition to do the work harder. Raising the money and going after the grants is easy when you have that kind of support. So we deeply appreciate everything that you have done. I know we have families who have submitted some questions. I don't know, Laura, do you want to address any of those questions?
Sure. I think the bulk of the questions Frank probably has already addressed, which the main concern, which I absolutely love, is will our staff continue to be financially secure during this closure? And Frank and all those folks are really working very hard, going through his list of items to make sure that we can maintain that. And not only that, be stable and maintain our ability to reopen for the children and families when we can, per the city and county. So that was the conversation that we had with our teachers. And as everybody has already expressed, things change by the hour around here. So whereas we can't make any promises, we are working very, very hard to make sure that we can continue that commitment to our staff and to the stability of the organization so that we can reopen on day one with your families in place. So I think that was the biggest question. Another question, which I absolutely love, from Macy was, can I have the recipe for Chef Yvonne's soup? And yes, you can. The staff news or the family newsletter will start going out next week, and you'll see some recipes that are shared, because I know my kids are, well, my Max is dying for some Chef Yvonne and Chef Martin food. So we'll be sharing some of those recipes in the family newsletter, and you'll be able to see those there.
Right. Peter, do you have something that you'd like to comment on?
Just was thinking about, we've mentioned a lot of very generous and very helpful people, parents and staff and Laura's team and teachers, but there are also, there's another group that I think is important to acknowledge, which is our board has really stepped up in very important ways. And Frank mentioned working with the bank. We have one of our board members giving us guidance for that bank and helping us make sure we, make the right moves. And then Jeremy, thank you for all of your work. And Rob has, been there at every moment that we've needed him, and other board members. So just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that group as well.
Frank, do you have any closing remarks? Is that your martini in your hand?
All right, time out. This is a quarantini. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Not a more, and it's almost empty. I'm not happy about that. Cheers to you, Laura.
Yeah.
It's just lovely to see everybody. Really, I mean, some of the faces I look and I see between my colleagues and the parents, it's just fabulous to see you all. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions specifically, and if you want to email, I'm sure Laura or me or Peter or my good friend Tamika over there.
Yeah.
You there, Tamika? Is that a girl? Just please feel free to reach out. Just I apologize in advance. Tomorrow might be a tough day, but after that, I think, I can respond quickly. But tomorrow's my application day.
So
thank you for joining us.
As we close out the evening, again, it's a good test for us to see how does this work for families, so you can help us assess whether or not this is remotely a good way, a vehicle of getting families together. So as we close out, I just want to say on behalf of our leadership team, our teachers, and everybody connected with the organization, we love you so much. And we really care about you and your children, and we appreciate all the reciprocity and the care that comes back. So thank you for your time this evening, and love you all.
Hey, Steve, can I say it? Can I say it?
Yes.
That was Dick Vermeil right there, baby. Thanks, everybody. You have to win the Super Bowl to remember what I'm talking about.
There's a question submitted in the chat.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I see that. Yes, that's a great question about the foster grandparents, and they do continue to get paid during this time. The federal program did come through with enough push from all of us. So they are safe and secure as well, staying home and continuing with their stable income. Great question. Thank you.
Sorry, thought I should mute. Sorry.
Fabulous. If there's any other questions, I did put our email addresses in that group chat, but most of you should all have those as well through all of our many communications. So I will go ahead and end this now before Frank comes back on. Everybody have a wonderful night, and I hope to see you all in person very soon.
Next time I'll have a joke.
Good night.
Good night.